honoring the legacy of Reza Shah the Great. 14th of March 2025, we commemorate the anniversary of Reza Shah the Great's birth, a visionary leader whose tireless dedication and fearless determination transformed Iran during one of its most challenging eras. In the first half of the 20th century, at a time when the nation was struggling with poverty, disease, and war, at the cusp of turning into a failed state, he turned the page by working relentlessly to rebuild and modernize Iran. Through his intelligence, strategic vision, and unwavering commitment, he laid the foundations of a strong and independent nation. He surrounded himself with exceptional advisors such as Prime Minister Mohammad Ali Foroughi, whose wisdom and expertise helped shape a brighter future for Iran. Reza Shah's legacy lives on in the resilience and strength of the Iranian people. We honor his indomitable spirit and his invaluable contributions to our homeland. The Iranian Americans for Liberty directs the attention of the President Donald Trump's administration to the new influence operation by the Islamic regime in the United States. The Islamic Republic had for years successfully, albeit illegally, lobbied the United States government and politicians for leniency and appeasement through overtly political entities such as National Iranian American Council and covert, ostensibly cultural bodies like Public Affairs Alliance of Iranian Americans. With increasingly hostile attitudes of Americans towards NIAC and other fronts of Islamic regime lobby, the regime has changed tactics, trying to infiltrate the Iranian constitutionalists, i.e. advocates of the return of constitutional monarchy in Iran. The regime's focus appears to be concentrated on National Union for Democracy in Iran, that has in recent years deliberately gotten close to the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Several former activists from the Fox reformist faction of the Islamic Republic currently serve in the advisory roles and affiliates of NUFDI. The most worrisome, however, are the children of the regime officials becoming a fixture of the events organized by National Union for Democracy in Iran. Take the example of Elisa Mojtahedzadeh, the daughter of a known regime collaborator, Piruz Mojtahedzadeh. She does media appearances and is active on social media under the pseudonym @Elisa Leban to hide the family tie to her notorious father. Her father, now based in the UK, has been a de facto lobbyist for the Islamic Republic regime in the West for decades. Iranian Americans for Liberty condemns USAID-funded Kasparov for smearing President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Garry Kasparov is a close partner of Masih Alinejad. They co-founded World Liberty Congress together. Kasparov and Alinejad both have a long history of receiving money from USAID, Voice of America, and other sources to act as the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party. In 2016, in a brazen case of electioneering, Ms. Alinejad clearly ridiculed then candidate Donald Trump in a taxpayer-funded video report produced for Voice of America Persian. It is both illegal and unethical to receive funding from the United States taxpayers on the false pretense of being non-partisan, only going on to act in a clearly partisan way. If the likes of Kasparov and Masih Alinejad would like to participate in partisan politics, they are free to do so on their own dime, not at the expense of the United States taxpayers. On Saturday, March 8th, Abol Korkur ended his life by gunfire during a live Instagram broadcast as Iranian security forces surrounded his residence. Mr. Korkur, who was among the protesters in Iran's national uprising, had been in hiding for the past 2 years. In his final moments, he reportedly said, "We surrender," but security forces continued their gunfire. Social media users have shared that his last words were, "Goodbye, Iran." Reports indicate that Mr. Korkur was inside the house with three friends, Hossein Mehri, Reza Abdullahzadeh and Sohrab Ahmadi, who were also planning to surrender. However, after opening fire, security forces reportedly detonated grenades inside the house. Following the incident, Izeh has been described as being under heavy security control with widespread internet disruptions. State-run media have confirmed Mr. Korkur's suicide and reported the use of tear gas and smoke bombs against those inside. Mehr News Agency, a government-affiliated outlet, has also reported the arrest of Mr. Korkur's companions and the possible injury of some individuals. The security forces of the Islamic Republic have refused to hand over the body of Abul Korkur to his family, imposing strict conditions for its release. Among these conditions are a ban on chanting protest slogans during the burial ceremony and a prohibition on the presence of any reciter or singer at the cemetery. According to circulating reports, Sohrab Ahmadi, a close companion of the late Abul Korkur, was killed during the clashes in Izeh. Although further details have not been widely shared, human rights sources report that Ahmadi's family is under intense pressure from security forces to remain silent about his death. Security forces raided the hideout of Abul Hamid Korkur during this operation. His three companions, Sohrab Ahmadi, Hossein Mehri and Reza Abdullahzadeh, were arrested. Under relentless gunfire, Abul Korkur chose death over capture. Days after the incident, Korkur's body has yet to be handed over to his family, and Sohrab Ahmadi's family continues to face threats and pressure to stay silent. Fatemeh Sepehri and Mohammad Hossein Sepehri were once again tried on charges of insulting the leader and propaganda against the regime. Asghar Sepehri, the brother of these two monarchist political prisoners, described their defense statement saying that Ms. Sepehri emphasized either acquit and release us or sentence us to prison until the end of the Islamic Republic. According to Asghar Sepehri, the trial of Fatemeh and Mohammad Hossein Sepehri was held on Saturday, March 8th, presided over by Hossein Yazdan Khan, and they attended the trial from inside Vakilabad prison in Mashhad. According to this report, the reason for opening a new case against these two political prisoners who have been imprisoned in Vakilabad prison in Mashhad for years due to their opposition to the Islamic Republic is a joint statement they issued from inside the prison. This statement addressed to Ali Khamenei, the leader of the Islamic Republic, led to new charges against these two political prisoners. In the statement, Fatemeh Sepehri and Mohammad Hossein Sepehri referred to the leader of the Islamic Republic as the true traitor and the plunderer who has devastated the lives of Iranians, stating that soon Ali Khamenei and his decaying regime will be trampled on by the people. According to their brother, the judge refused to allow the defendants to have a defense attorney in court, effectively denying them the right to legal representation. In recent days, Fatemeh Sepehri and Mohammad Hossein Sepehri, along with several other activists, plaintiffs, and political prisoners, issued a statement for People's Day, emphasizing that the Iranian phoenix will rise from its ashes once again, and Pahlavi will return to Iran. Kushan Pirzadeh, a monarchist political prisoner, cut his ear in Evin prison due to mounting pressures and the authorities' disregard for his legal requests, such as the right to contact his family. According to Pirzadeh's Instagram page, these pressures were carried out under the orders of Hedayat Farzadi, the head of Evin prison. In retaliation for his statements, which coincided with the anniversary of Azerbaijan's liberation and Yalda Night, where he protested the presence of separatists within the Islamic Republic structure. Yunus Sagvand Qolikiani, a monarchist activist from Sepid Dasht, Lorestan province, has been released on bail after being detained by IRGC intelligence forces. Mr. Sagvand, a railway company employee with an engineering degree, was arrested and initially held at an IRGC detention center after being transferred to Khorramabad Central Prison. According to a reliable source, the Islamic Republic's judiciary charged him with propaganda against the regime and supporting the Pahlavi dynasty. These charges were brought against him despite his activism being mainly online, where he criticized the Islamic Republic and expressed support for the Pahlavis. Additionally, his Instagram page was shut down by Iranian security agencies. Mr. Sagvand has now been temporarily released on bail and must await the final court ruling. The emergency medical staff of EMS 115 in East Azerbaijan province staged a protest in front of the governor's office to demonstrate the response to the ongoing injustice in the payment of tariffs and performance-based incentives, as well as the worsening economic difficulties faced by the staff. Protesters demanded fair compensation for their demanding and critical work, stressing that their livelihoods have been severely impacted by financial mismanagement and delays in payment. Healthcare workers in Tabriz staged a protest in front of the city's health center. The demonstrators, including nurses, paramedics, and other medical staff, held up placards demanding the immediate payment of overdue salaries and benefits, improvements in their living and working conditions, and a reduction in their excessive workload. They voiced frustration over delayed wages, lack of financial support, and increasing pressure due to staff shortages, emphasizing that their well-being directly affects the quality of patient care. People with disabilities in Tehran gathered in front of the presidential office to protest against the government's neglect of their rights and welfare. The demonstrators voiced their frustration over the non-payment of overdue financial support, the government's failure to draft and implement a long-promised regulation for living allowances, and the lack of attention to individuals still waiting for essential support services. Shareholders of the National Industrial Steel Group gathered in front of the central branch of Bank Melli in Ahvaz to protest the company's financial and managerial issues. As an act of protest, they shut down the bank, expressing their frustration over the ongoing mismanagement and economic hardships affecting the company and its investors. A group of National Housing Plan applicants gathered in front of the General Directorate of Roads and Urban Development in Qazvin to protest the ongoing issues in the implementation of the project. The demonstrators voiced their frustration over delays, mismanagement, and unmet commitments, demanding immediate action to resolve the problems affecting their housing rights. Employees of Iran Khodro went on strike in protest of their deteriorating living conditions. Gathering in a demonstration, they voiced their frustration over economic hardships, low wages, and the government's failure to address their demands for better working conditions and fair compensation. Both owners and residents of Qeshm gathered in protest against the privatization of the management of Zakari port. The protesters, chanting slogans such as "No compromise, no surrender," "Fight against tyranny," expressed concerns about the impact of this decision on the local economy and the rising costs of travel. The recent increase in transportation fares to the island was also among the key issues raised during the demonstration. A group of retired telecommunications workers in Sanandaj staged a protest to voice their grievances over worsening living conditions and the government's failure to fulfill its promises. The protesters expressed frustration over inadequate pensions, economic hardships, and the authorities' continued neglect of their demands for fair wages and benefits.